Hey guys, Dave Whichard, President FFL Velocity. Today, I'm with two of my buddies down here in Charlotte, and the first one is Mike Curry. He's a VP, going SVP, and he's also a Hall of Fame agent. So, say hi, Mike.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, Dave.
And then his buddy also, Brody Pompe. Pompe.
Yep.
I messed that up, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
What were you saying? Somebody said pomp earlier. What did you say?
Yeah.
You didn't like?
Pomp, but
Yeah.
I've been called everything under the book. So
Yeah. Me too, right?
Yeah, I can imagine.
I know. Richard, yeah, got it. Curry, can't mess that one up too much, unless you're talking about like Ty Curry or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Nobody messes that up too much, I wouldn't think. Mike, so just tell us a little bit, I guess both of you, just tell a little bit about your background and for those that don't know you, because there's a lot of new people that watch, and just briefly how you got in the business, anything else you want to share about your life and what got you here.
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me on, Dave. So, a little bit about my, background was I used to repair appliances, and that's kind of where I was for 7 to 8 years prior to finding FFL and insurance. So, I knew Grady Polson from a network marketing company back 2010, 2011, something like that. Was not very successful in it, but sometimes you're in places, you make connections, and that's the only reason you're there, in that period of life. So I was fortunate to meet him, get to know him a little bit during that time. And years later, I believe it was 2019, and this, sometimes you find things and then, and you don't realize what you found, and then, a year down the road, right? So, Grady had started working with Family First Life, and I seen him posting some stuff. Didn't really think nothing of it, honestly. But I have a buddy in insurance and his family, health insurance, a lot of different stuff. But I had sent it to him, and I was like, hey, you should check this out. And because again, I don't know anything about the industry, and he kind of sent it back to me, and I kind of laughed about it because he was like, you should do it, right? Well, I dropped out of high school, have my GED, no college degree. I didn't know. I mean, I looked at insurance or, all the, financial services fields, high level. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of high level people here, but, you don't have to have like a crazy, background or degree or anything like that. So long story short, we had children, both had little girls right around July of 2020. And he had reached out. Congratulations, all that. We got to talking a little bit, and I asked him, about FFL. And he sent me the agency overview. Most people, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It was, short 15-minute overview of the company. And when I saw that video, it was really intriguing. It blew my mind because, my wife worked a job with a financial advisor and made really good money. We were very comfortable living. I wasn't rich by any means, but, 50, 60 grand a year. Repairing appliances, and then her job. So, we had a house, whatever. We weren't broke. We were living, very content. But what I saw was the opportunity to give her what she's always wanted, and that was to stay home with the kids. And I didn't know what it would look like. I didn't know if I would be good at it. It kind of started as a joke. I told everybody, here's the thing, right? You speak stuff into existence. And I didn't realize what I was doing at the time, but I kind of started telling everybody I was getting my insurance license, right? Well, when you're somebody like me who has a GED, who hasn't, again, blue-collar background, you tell somebody that you're getting your insurance license and they laugh at you, it kind of puts like a little fire, like, well, why can't I get my insurance license, right? So what started out was like, it looked intriguing, looked like a good idea, probably would have been procrastination and never done it. But because of people's reactions, and I'm like, okay, so I'm actually going to get my insurance license. Long story short, get my insurance license, and first month I started part-time, but first month I was able to help 26 families, and 4 or 5 months later, Kate came home, been with the kids, and we're rocking and rolling. Agency helped over 1.5 million families last year. 1.5 million families last year, and we're ready to roll.
That's a lot. What about you, Brody? What's your just your background and things like that? And I know you're warm market too, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you could share that a little bit.
Yeah.
And both, I think that's one thing we have to do better at is warm market. Continue to reach out to people, post everywhere, things like that. You just never know who's watching, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me on, Dave. But
thank you.
A little bit about me. No sales background. Drove race cars from the age of 4, from Oregon, ended up in Ohio. Now we're in the Carolinas. And my dream was to drive race cars. At some point in there, you either have gotten to a point where other people are funding what you're doing or you run out of money. And I had just gotten married, and it was time for me to make a decision in my life, whether or not that's what I needed to continue doing or if I needed to make a change. And I feel like God was working in my life. Knew Mike Curry from a couple years before when I first moved down here to the Charlotte area, and he was a close friend of ours, and we were at a mutual gathering, and he was talking to one of our mutual friends about FFL, and I'd seen some stuff he was posting on Instagram. He's been incredible about that. He's always on there doing things, and he's urging me to do that as well. But I just heard what he was talking about and the conviction in his voice and how happy he was, and just knowing his background, I'm like, man, maybe that's something I could do. So I whipped around and pretty much shoved the other person out of the conversation, which, I mean, that wasn't very fair, but I was really intrigued. So Mike and I got to talking, and the next day I called him up. I said, okay, what do I need to do? How do I do it? And I've just been plugged in and following him ever since. And I just feel like there's so many people that we know and we come across in our daily life that maybe they're a close friend like Mike and I were or are, or it's just some acquaintance that you've met along the way, but you have their contact. So if we aren't sharing that with the people that we do know and we are close to, we're doing them a disservice. Whether or not they want to do it or not, we have to at least present the opportunity, because without doing it, you never know what you could have done for someone else's life.
Yeah, I agree 100% that we have to share it, because you just don't know. You don't really know what's in someone's heart and what they're willing to do and things like that. And, we were talking earlier about mindset and things like that. What are some things that you do? So I was talking to you earlier, and I asked you, you shared with me, which you can share again, about the challenge of, you said you couldn't even book a vet appointment, I think is what you said. Yeah. But talk about that, and then how it was to dial the phone and how you overcame that. And just anything that has helped you get better.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of elaborate on that more so than I did before, but a lot of us come from a background, a W-2 background, where someone is dictating what we're doing, what time we're doing it, how we're doing it, and we just go through the motions. And that's when a ceiling of growth is put over you, right? You can't grow yourself, whether it's financially, just mindset-wise. You're just in this hamster wheel. And when you get in this business, it forces growth. And that was huge for me. Like you had mentioned, I couldn't even book a vet appointment for our dogs, which are pretty much like our kids, over the phone. My wife would have to do it. I couldn't order going through a drive-through. If somebody else was in the car, I was so self-conscious. And once I got into this business and understanding that what we're doing isn't about us, so those little things that hold us back is just selfishness, and getting that right in my head, which comes from the system that FFL has and all the podcasts and the people that are here to help see us win and push us. Once you get plugged into that whole deal, then you can see everything for what it's worth. And it all just boils down to you pushing yourself, getting uncomfortable, and serving the families that are requesting the help. And within that whole process, you're going to grow as a person naturally, and just staying in that constant state of uncomfortableness makes you grow. And I love it.
I do agree with that. I mean, I think when you get comfortable, you're going backwards in a lot of ways. Complacency sets in and things. You always have to be challenging yourself and getting better every day. And, for me, it's just, sometimes it's fitness, sometimes it's reading more books, sometimes it's whatever. It's just always constantly challenging myself in whatever I might be doing, adjusting those goals until they become a good habit, and then creating new habits, and then finding something else that I can get better at over a 21-day period, if you will, and things like that. What about you, Mike? What are some things that you've done, when it talk about mindset, and because some people do have a challenge down the phone. Some people, they have to overcome that. I don't think it's that big a deal. I think you just take action. But what are some things that have helped you on a day-to-day basis? Because, let's just be real. We're in life. We have some of us are married and have kids or grandkids or whatever. Life's busy. Life's going to happen. I always like to say this. A lot of people, they're here with us, and then they look at, hey, they're looking to go over here because they think something's easier. Maybe not even in our industry. Just get away from the hardness of it, right? Like the challenges of it, whatever that might be. And I think that when it is uncomfortable, that's when you can excel the most. And sometimes you're running away from. I always just like to say it this way. I think sometimes when you run away from hard things, you're also running away from the blessings that follow right behind it. Mm-hmm. Think about that. I don't know if anybody's ever said that to you. Because God knows the window. He knows where you're going, and sometimes we have to go through that. And if we don't go through those tough times, we don't know what's at the end of it. And you talk about speaking things into existence. I don't think we actually speak it to an existence, but speaking positive definitely is better than speaking negative, number one. And number two, if you speak positive and then you apply action behind it, yes, there's a good chance a lot of that's going to happen. So anyway, that was just what I wanted to share about. Your thoughts on some of that stuff?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So, again, and this is like something that gets a little lost, right? For new agents, it's like, now year and a half in here, people see you for where you're at, especially new people. They don't see where you started. That's one thing I love about these podcasts is like, I probably don't do a very good job now, but, looking back a year from now, and just seeing the growth that you have, and that's what I'm so much grateful for and thankful for. But, new people don't understand. Like, we all went through the same stuff. I went through making my first dial, and the guy answered the phone. I hung up on him because I was so nervous, right? For what? Like, he filled out a form. But, like, you have to go through that. And, a promise that I made to myself was, any opportunity I had to get uncomfortable, I would say yes. And I made that promise with myself. And so far to this day, like, I've kept it. And plan to keep, making that promise. So I think, mentally, it's just whatever you have to do to grow. Obviously, the business side's the business side, but you're never going to grow if you don't mentally grow. And one thing that we're blessed with is with a lot of great leaders, a lot of people that inspire us that we can plug into. Some of the things that I like, and I don't know if we're allowed to mention other podcasts on here, but I love Brad Lee. Right? Like, I love, and I'm going to say this and y'all are going to laugh, but I love dropping bombs. And it's like something that's like my favorite thing, right? Like, I love his podcast and, some other guys. So, just plugging in, and it's like whether you think that it's making a difference in your life, you're hearing things and you're implementing small changes. And I think that's what it's about. It's not about going out and just be a completely different person this next day, right? It's the little things. And you were talking about fitness, and something I need to get back to. But, I remember back, when I was working out religiously, every day of the week, whether it was eating clean, whatnot. But it's like, it's not the reps that, 1 through 8, right? Like it's 8 through 12, right? When it starts burning is when it starts working, right? So it's the same thing in life, right? In the business, right? And whatever your challenges are you're going through, like when it starts to hurt, that's when you're starting to grow. Most people quit when they're just at that place where now they're ready to grow, right? So it's like, you do all these reps and it's like now you quit. It's like all that was worthless, right? It's the same thing booking appointments. Like I used to say, like if you're booking 15 appointments, the first 10 are not your sales. It's 11 through 15, right? And if you knew that and you understood that and you believed that, you'd make those changes and you'd push through, right? But a lot of people just don't have that belief that like they're any different than anybody else. So I think, as far as, listening to podcasts, it doesn't have to be just FFL related, right? Like anything, any personal growth, reading books, that's something I'll be honest with you guys. Like I'm not like a big reader. I'm more of a listener. And I feel like I learn better that way. But, there's a guy, Wes Watson, fitness guy, and I just grabbed his book called Non-Negotiable. That's a great book. Anything you can do to mentally grow on a daily basis and plug into, because you're not staying the same, right? Like, and the speaking things into existence thing is real, right? It's like it's not as much about, like you said, speaking it. It's like whatever you tell yourself is what you'll believe. Like you could tell yourself long enough that you're an integrity partner and you'll become an integrity partner. Like you just say that, you believe it, right? And you start to do things, right? Like how do you become that? Well, what do they do? Right? What is, whatever it is in life that you want to become and who you want to be like, what do they do on a daily basis, right? If you just do those things, you'll grow into that individual. Like, nobody's special, right? Especially in this business. I know I'm not, right? So I think it's just plugging in daily and, constantly surrounding yourself in a positive environment, because it's easy to be negative in life. There's so much negativity. But if you tune it out and you focus on the positive and positive podcast, not the news, right? Not things that drag you down, I think you naturally become a better person. And that's my 2 cents on it.
And I 100% agree with you. I think who we associate with, who we spend our time with. I think I heard somebody in Melbourne actually said it yesterday when I was talking to him. The 5 closest people you spend the most time with, your income, your life will look a lot like them. And it's funny how over time in my my life that's happened. And it's not that I don't love the people that I don't spend as much time with now. It's just that they're in a different place. They just are. And now it's the people we talk about a whole lot different things. We used to talk about. I'm just saying, like go back 15. And I'm not saying. I mean that's a different conversation. But when you hang around integrity partners, like, it's not that they're all talking about that, but those are conversations that come up versus, hey, how am I pay my bills? That's two different spectrums there. But I think we want to help people be able to pay their bills, right? Be able to change their life when they come here and stuff like that. So I think it is important. These are things that I think that we don't talk about it enough, how important the mindset is, how all these things we do, even though we say, hey, listen to a podcast, we don't necessarily say why, right? Like it's teaching you, but I think there's more to it than, like you said, it's what are we putting in our head every day, Because if you're sitting around watching the news, my goodness, I don't even want to be around you. Yeah. Like, just stay away from me, because it's just negative stuff. So anyway, we could talk about this stuff all day, but Brody, what are some comments? As I know when you're sitting there, it's like, I was reading something as you were, I was thinking about this, and Andy Frisella, who does 75 Hard, he was talking about he enjoys life so much because he just loves other people winning. And once he realized, instead of being jealous for people, against people, and just pulled from to win, how his life changed. And it's just been extraordinary. For me, that's the same way. It's like, because our human instinct is to be that way. But understanding what they went through to get there, we don't ask those questions. You know what I mean? Like, how hard did this person work to get to where they are? Or am I willing to do that? Otherwise, we're just judging them. Like, we don't even know their story. It's nice to know everybody's story before you start judging people, right? But I want people to win. Seeing you guys win makes me excited, right? So anyway, didn't get off subject there, but what are some thoughts in your mind right now about what we're talking about?
Yeah, so I actually had an experience yesterday. I talked to another agent within this business, and they were going through some stuff, and I had no idea. I feel like I could have served them better knowing, but I didn't ask the right questions when the time presented itself, so it just lingered. So I think getting to know everybody within this business helps you get to know yourself some too, because there's some people going through some things that we couldn't even imagine, and they're doing huge things. And then you put it in perspective with your life and what you're going through, and you realize you don't got it that bad. And so I think just that's kind of like a two-pronged deal. One, you are putting things in perspective for yourself, and so it motivates you. And two, you're seeing what they're going through so you can serve them better, and it just puts you in a good spot to be able to help them win and help yourself win. And I think you have to put yourself in an environment where you can get around those people personally. I know there's some people, some agents like throughout the country we can't get a hold of, but being part of work spots, getting in an office is huge, because I've met people in here that like blow my mind, and then I get their contact, and then we stay in touch and we grow together.
Yeah.
And we all talk about the discounts that we get through work spots on leads to invest in our business with it. But I think something that gets overlooked is just the growth we have getting in these different places and getting around these people, because FFL is just a breeding ground for people that are elevating and helping others elevate. And if you're not plugging into that, you're going backwards, because like you say, if you're not uncomfortable and pushing yourself, you're not growing, you're going backwards. So that's a huge element that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, that's true. In places it can set into, it's easier to do if you're not around other people or plugged into the systems and things like that. Just as if you're just left to your just yourself. I just think being, like you said earlier, it's a baseball team. If it's just you, that'd be kind of weird, right? Yeah. I can imagine pitching it. Well, I guess you have to have a catcher, but if you didn't have an outfield, the ball got hit, you'd be like running out there trying to get the ball, right?
Yeah.
It's a team thing. So, and I love that aspect of it. Winning as a team, for sure is so much. It's cool. And a part of being part of the best is also pretty cool with Family First Life for sure. So, Mike, as we wrap this up, I mean, this has just been, I love these conversations about mindset and getting stronger in that area because I do think that's huge. Because when you have tough times, if your mind, and that's why the mental toughness part is huge, because I think if you do get that right, you can push through anything. Just to wrap up real quick, Brody, how they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can text me, call me, 541-250-2906. That's my phone. Instagram, Brody Pompe _P0. Shoot me a DM, whatever you got to do to get a hold of me. I'm here.
And what about you, Mike?
Yeah, it's phone number is 704-572-5096. Instagram is at Mike Curry _FFL. And I wanted to shout out, Brody's got his new social media going, FFL Performance. And is it at FFL Performance?
Yep.
Yeah, and then mine's at FFL Valiant, but we're one big team. We work together, and then obviously Dave at FFL. I'll let you tell yours.
No, it's okay. But thanks for jumping on Weekend Warriors, and if you can just go to Family First Life Velocity and just make sure you subscribe, that'd be cool. Try to put some good content out there to help everyone. This was a mindset. It was really good. Talk through that, and then also on Instagram at Dave Whichard. That'd be great. Follow, and again, we're just trying to inspire other people to get better and make a difference in people's lives. So thanks for being on today. We really appreciate it.